Truman needs to know what's next.
2,
What's next?
1.
This is Bella. Bella, this is Mr. McCandles.
Hello, Bella.
You know, you got nice color skin. What color would you say that is?
My color.
Oppenheimer, 13 Oscar nominations. Poor Things, 11 nominations. Killers of the Flower Moon, 10 nominations. Those are the highest nominated films this year at this year's Academy Awards. And on this special Tuesday night edition of Talking About the Movies, we're going to be taking a look at the Oscar nominations in overall. We're going to cover the big categories, talk about my personal snubs and surprises in here. There certainly is a lot to talk about here, and I'll talk about some of the movies and shorts and stuff in particular that I was really upset did not get nominated. So yeah, this is something I was originally going to do for the Reviewing Network Live coming up on Sunday, but I figured, you know what, might as well do it tonight. The Oscars nominations just came out today. Everyone's talking about them, some for the reasons that you think they would, others not so much. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some of the big surprises from this year's nominations, because there certainly is a lot to delve into here. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Now, for this show in particular, we're only taking a look at the 7 big nominated categories. I'm talking about Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Director, and Best Animated Feature Film. I'll delve more into the rest of the nominees. I'll probably save that for the Sunday episode of Reviewing Network Live, which I was going to do this on, But let's go ahead and get right to the Best Picture, because, quite frankly, there really isn't a whole lot of surprises there. I think a lot of people expected these movies to be there, and so far it didn't. As from what I look at here, there was no big surprises here. So the nominees for Best Picture are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Now, something about this particular year that I find very interesting is that for the first time, I think in a long time, we have 10 nominated Best Pictures. Usually, it would be like 9 or something like that. They wouldn't fill out the full 10, but I think, if I'm remembering correctly, this is the first time we've got 10 nominees for Best Picture. And, like I said, no real surprises here whatsoever. I think everyone was kind of expecting these movies to be in there. If there's a couple that I'm really upset about that did not get in there, the only real one I would really say that I'm really upset about is the fact that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse didn't get nominated, and you know, this just continues to be the thing with the Oscars overall, that they don't really take specific genres that seriously. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of genre movies nominated here. I mean, Barbie got 8 nominations this year alone, and there were a lot of other ones too. Godzilla -1 got a nomination for visual effects, which rightfully so. But you know, never in these big categories. You know, it's very rare for an animated film to compete in there. And when it does, it usually will just end up winning Best Animated Feature Film, which Spider-Man was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film. But I felt like this year was the real opportunity to really show the Academy was to really show that, hey, animation is just as good as live action. Like I've said this many times before. Animation's kicking the ever-loving crap out of live action right now. And yeah, all these movies here are live action, but Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse really was the definitive movie of 2023 in terms of, like, quality entertainment all the way through. But like I said, not really a surprise that it wasn't in there. I was just more disappointed that it didn't qualify for the runners-up here. But most of these, I've not really seen most of these movies. I've only seen a couple of them. I've seen Barbie, which was in my top 10. It was number 10 on my list. Killers of the Flower Moon, which just barely missed my top 10. And Oppenheimer, which was actually my second favorite movie of the year. I've yet to watch Maestro yet. I just got The Holdovers a couple weeks ago on DVD, so at some point I'm going to watch that. I'm definitely looking forward to it because I like Alexander Payne a lot. Haven't seen American Fiction, haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall, haven't seen Past Lives, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. Have not seen those movies yet, but here's the thing that I think is going to be very interesting, and you know, I'll save it for when we get to some of the other categories here, because it's going to lead into a little bit of a theory that I've thought about with who might win Best Picture, because I think overall the front runner is going to be Oppenheimer. I feel like that's going to be when I think of here's my thing about the Best Picture. When I think of the Best Picture category, it's supposed to be the movie that defines the year. Last year, we had Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was such a unique, genre-bending type of movie that just feels like, you know what, like, validification for the Academy Awards, because, you know, I've talked so much about how much it's a chore now to watch the Oscars. It's no longer fun anymore, because most of the time, the best picture does not define what a best picture should be like. There's no reason that a movie like The King's Speech, which is probably one of the worst Oscar Best Picture winners of all time, there's no reason that it should have won over great movies like Inception, or Toy Story 3, or True Grit, or Black Swan, or Social Network, and amongst many other movies. There's no reason why a movie like, there's no reason why a movie like Green Book should be winning over some great movies like Black Panther. Like, that should have been a year where Black Panther really should have been the year's Best Picture. Roma was also nominated that year. I'm trying to think of some other ones too. I can't remember what else was 2018. Bohemian Rhapsody, but Bohemian Rhapsody, not so much. It probably would have been the same thing. 2021, you know, in a year when you had West Side Story, which is a phenomenal movie. I just watched it again recently. You know, Dune, Licorice Pizza, The Power of the Dog, Nightmare Alley, Belfast, these movies that could have easily won. You have Coda, which isn't a bad movie per se, but it just feels like a movie that's so in the category of, we don't really consider this one of the best pictures of the year. We consider it as a film you know, it's a film that we feel like we have to do it because there's history involved in that movie, because it's, you know, deaf people and all that. It's not, like I said, it's not a bad movie, but at the same time, Coda does not, I don't think Coda is the best movie of 2021. Like, this year, Oppenheimer, I think, will be the front runner. It should be the front runner. I think it deserves to win Best Picture. And I mean, like I said, I feel like it's going to be this year's Best Picture. I feel like Christopher Nolan is long overdue for this. And he could be up for other awards too. And we'll get to those in just a moment. But let's go ahead and move on to the Best Actor in a Leading Role. This year's Best Actor nominees are Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Probably the biggest surprise on this list here is that Jeffrey Wright got a nomination for American Fiction. He's been a great character actor for a number of years, been in a couple of James Bond movies, he was in the Hunger Games films, was recently Commissioner Gordon in The Batman. I mean, he's a great actor, and I'm glad to see that the Academy recognizes him for this performance in this movie. But I'm kind of surprised that Leonardo DiCaprio didn't get a nomination for Kills of the Flower Moon. I mean, yeah, he got his Oscar for The Revenant, which was well-deserved. I thought that was a great movie and a great performance for him. But, you know, with this particular movie, you really felt like he should have been among the top five, because since he was considered to be right up there for a number of weeks. But the other ones aren't really surprising. You know, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, I felt like he was going to be I feel like he's going to be the front runner for this, for his great performance in this. But some buzz building about Paul Giamatti taking the Oscar for The Holdovers. I mean, this is a guy that also has been long overdue for an Oscar. But then it's still been Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper, I think, might win because mostly of his body of work and not just for this particular movie that he's in, because he's been nominated so many times, and you feel like he's long overdue for one. He's proven he's been a great actor for so many years. So it would not be surprising if they give it to him just on his body of work alone. But I feel like Cillian Murphy and Paul Giamatti are the two-horse race in this particular category. If I could think of any other snubs in this particular category that come off the top of my head, nothing really comes off my head. If I had to really pick one, maybe, like, this is just my personal thing. I really like what Michael B. Jordan did with Creed 3, and I feel like that he probably wouldn't have gotten a nomination, but I feel like Creed 3 should have gotten at least some more respect than it did. It got snubbed out big time. I think mostly because it was released in March of earlier this year, and, you know, that's the big thing with the Academy Awards, is that for the longest time, they would always pick the movies that were releasing in the last 6 months of the year instead of just going all out on the rest of the year. But then again, it's just a little nitpicky thing here. The biggest surprise of this is that Leonardo DiCaprio did not get nominated for Kills of the Flower Moon. I thought that was a huge surprise there. So now let's get to what I think is going to be one of the more controversial categories this year, and that is Best Actress in a Leading Role. So Best Actress in a Leading Role. Here are your nominees, and see if you can tell me which notable name that you would think would be in here is missing. We have Annette Bening for Nyad, Lily Gladstone for Kills of the Flower Moon, Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. yeah, where's Margot Robbie at? I mean, this was one that I think everybody was expecting Margot Robbie to get at least a nomination in this category for Barbie, and she didn't get nominated here. She did get nominated as a producer on Barbie, so if they win that, then she would win that as well. But still, how do you not pick Margot Robbie for Barbie? I mean, that's something that really... That was something that really took me aback when I saw this. Just like, really? You're not going to nominate her? I mean, what the hell did she do that she didn't deserve to win at least a nomination for this? I mean, I'm glad to see Lily Gladstone got nominated for Actress in the Leading Role. I think she's the front runner for that one. I thought she was the best thing about that particular movie. Another one that I was kind of surprised wasn't in there was Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple. But then again, I feel like The Color Purple, because they looked at the box office and said, well, it didn't do well at the box office, so we can't nominate it. It's just like I felt like they probably could have added a spot for her there. But other than that, Annette Bening, she's never won before. I don't think. I thought she won for something. I need to double check on this first. She was nominated, okay. I thought she won for American Beauty, but she was actually nominated for that. She's been nominated 5 times. This is her 5th time getting a nomination for this movie. So I don't know. I don't think this is one where it's like a, hey, here's one for your body of work category. I feel like this is Lily Gladstone's one to win. Emma Stone maybe could win another Oscar for a performance in Poor Things. I think a lot of people really are getting behind that movie. I mean, Poor Things did have the second highest Oscar nominations overall. So maybe that's something that happens. But I feel like I said, this is Lily Gladstone's to lose. I feel like this is her award. I feel like she's going to get it, and I hope she does, because like I said, of all these performances I see here, that's the one I think deserves to be in there. The biggest surprise in there, like I said, Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple, but more notably, Margot Robbie for Barbie. Like, that was one that was just like, I can't believe that's not in there. Like, wow. So, with that said, let's move on to the Actor in a Supporting Role category. So, the nominees for Best Actor in a Supporting Role are Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. And from that list there, a lot of the names on here were not real big surprises. Like Robert De Niro probably was going to be in there. It's going to be a 2-horse race between Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer and Ryan Gosling for Barbie. And Mark Ruffalo is pretty much guaranteed to be in there too for Poor Things. But I feel like this is one that Robert Downey Jr.'s got locked up, I would think, because, Ryan Gosling should be considered for this, but Robert Downey Jr. definitely deserves that. I thought he was one of the best things about Oppenheimer. The name here that really does surprise me is Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. Now, Sterling K. Brown is a terrific actor, like with Jeffrey Wright. He's been in a lot of great stuff. This Is Us is the prime example. And I haven't seen American Fiction, but I'm glad to see that he got in there, because he is an actor that I've had a lot of respect for a number of years. I really do appreciate his work over the years. In terms of surprises for this particular category, I can't really say for certain there isn't any big ones here. It probably would have been nice to see Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia get nominated for Blackberry. I mean, that was one that everyone was talking about, like, hey, maybe he's got a shot at this. Maybe he's got a chance to be up there. It would have been fun. It would have been interesting to see Glenn Howerton get nominated, but I felt like that. But the more I thought about it, just kind of like, yeah, that one just seems like it's more far out of reach than I think people let on. So, again, I think this is Robert Downey Jr.'s to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Gosling gains some traction if he starts getting more awards, but this is Robert Downey Jr.'s, I think, to win. I think like he's another actor who's been longing a nomination of opportunity to win an Oscar, and I think he's definitely got it in the bag for this one. I mean, he deserves it. The career he's had has been so up and down, and then of course Iron Man lifts him back up to the stratosphere. I feel like this will be the perfect time to give him the Oscar for this, and hopefully he does get it. So. Next up, Actress in a Supporting Role. So the nominees for Actress in a Supporting Role this year are Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Now, that one name in particular that I want you to notice in here, America Ferrera in Barbie. Like, that's the one that really surprises me, because Margot Robbie doesn't get an Oscar nomination for a role in this, but America Ferrera does. That's something that, who would have guessed Ugly Betty would be an Oscar nominee, and for a movie where I thought she was good in the movie, but I don't know if it was worthy of a Best Supporting Actress nomination. I feel like that's one that's just like really her. Like, I thought she was great in the movie. No problem with her in the film whatsoever. But if you're gonna nominate her and Ryan Gosling, then why are you not gonna nominate Margot Robbie? Like, what did she do to the Actors Guild that made everyone say, no, we're not gonna nominate you for that? But there was another name in there from The Color Purple that I thought was going to be in there, and I really wanted her to be in there. Taraji P. Henson, who really steals the show in The Color Purple. She's been an actress I've been a fan of for a number of years. And I thought this year she had a good opportunity to get in there and potentially be a contender in here. But unfortunately, not the case. But you have Jodie Foster in here going for her third Oscar for Nyad, a movie I haven't seen. Devine Joy Randolph is the front runner because she's been like sweeping the awards for this for The Holdovers. I've seen her in a couple things I've liked, The Lost City, a couple of other things as well, but I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't really say for certain, but I saw Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer. I thought that was pretty good, and I feel like she should be in there. But like I said, Devine Joy Randolph, I think, is going to be the front runner for this, considering that she has been the one that's been winning all the awards for this, so I wouldn't be surprised if she got the award for this. But so let's go ahead and move on to Best Director. So this year's nominees for Best Director are Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese for Kills of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. And obviously the name that's missing there is Greta Gerwig for Barbie, which really is surprising, especially when you consider that all three of the movies she's directed have been nominated for Best Picture. Lady Bird was the first one that got nominated, and then Little Women got nominated a couple years after that, and now Barbie, and it's just like, she directed the biggest movie of the year, and she's nowhere on this list. I can't wait for the jokes to be like, Barbie, the movie that apparently directed itself, because that's going to happen. But now this leads into a theory that I might be having here. Now, let me just say right off the bat, like I said before, Oppenheimer should be the front runner. I think it will be the winner of the Oscar for Best Picture. However, think back to what happened back in 2012. You had a movie called Argo come out, and everyone thought that Ben Affleck was a lock to be nominated for Best Director. Don't know maybe he could have won because the film was getting a lot of attention. The Directors Guild didn't nominate him. He didn't get nominated for Best Actor. The movie was nominated for Best Picture, and it ended up winning Best Picture, even though, as much as I love Argo, Silver Linings Playbook came out that year. As I talked about it before, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, so that would have been my pick for Best Picture. But I'm glad Argo won. I'm glad that Ben Affleck got his moment in the spotlight, because Argo was a great film, and it was in my top 10 for the year of 2012. Now, this brings me to a theory that I have about this. Call me crazy about this, but I feel like, and this isn't just me speculating about this, The Hollywood Reporter, when they did a rundown of the Oscar nominations, also thought the same thing as well. What if Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig not getting nominations for Best Actress and Best Director means that there's a possibility that Barbie could really sweep in and be the surprise and win Best Picture? I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, it really does feel like it's setting itself up in that similar way. I mean, the most culturally significant movie of the year, and it doesn't get a Best Director or Best Actress nomination for the director and its leading actress. But it gets Best Picture. It's nominated for 8 Oscars. It's going to win some of them. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's that feeling in the back of my head that this could be something where it could be a year where Barbie wins Best Picture, Christopher Nolan probably wins Best Director, everyone thinks Oppenheimer's going to win Best Picture, but then it turns out to be Barbie that wins it out of the blue. And I don't know. I feel like that could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying that it would guarantee that to happen, but I would not. But don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we see something like that on Oscar night, because those curveballs, when they throw those curveballs, they can be really, really interesting curveballs. Like, who would have guessed that in a year where La La Land was predicted to just dominate the Oscars, you had Moonlight win Best Picture because of a snafu, because Warren Beatty misread the previous envelope. Yeah, who knows? Maybe that could happen. Maybe not. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. But I still think Oppenheimer will win Best Picture. I feel like it is the front runner. It should be the front runner. I think it is going to be the winner of Best Picture. But I'm just saying, keep that in the back of your mind that Barbie could potentially win Best Picture if the Argo theory goes through. Just saying. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last category I wanted to cover here, and that is Best Animated Feature Film. And this year the 5 nominees are The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now you'll notice that there is something very interesting about this particular list here. And that is the fact that Hayao Miyazaki got a nomination for a Best Animated Feature Film for his movie, but Elemental is the only major Disney animation that was nominated for any big categories this year. A movie that started off as set to be one of the biggest bombs of the year because of that opening weekend, all of a sudden had that big boost over the summer, and people just started to come around to it and realize that, hey, this is actually a good movie. It's the one thing that kept Disney in the Oscar race this year in terms of its animation department, because sadly, Once Upon a Studio got snubbed for Best Animated Short Film because, once again, this happens every single time. The animated short that you think would be in there is replaced with animated shorts you've never even heard of, and there's no way you're going to see them in any way, shape, or form unless you live in New York and L.A. And sadly, I don't live in New York and L.A., so I have no idea what the hell these shorts are like. But it's a disappointment. Once Upon a Studio didn't get nominated. Like, I wasn't expecting Wish to get any nominations, even though I still like that movie, despite what everybody else is telling me. But it is to make a bad year worse for Disney. The movie they shelved because they shut down Blue Sky Studios and said, "Here, Netflix, take this movie. We don't want this anymore." Nimona sweeps in and gets a nomination for Best Animated Feature Film. Like, this was my second favorite animated film of the year. It was in my top 10. And I love this movie so much, and I'm so happy to see it get an Oscar nomination. I don't think it's going to win because obviously Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse should win this one with ease. I mean, this is one where they put a lot of hard work into it. I mean, it's there on screen. It should have been nominated for Best Picture too, but if they could get this Oscar for animated feature film, so be it, because it's definitely worth it. But I am disappointed to see that, kind of like what they've done in the past, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, which was one of the highest acclaimed films of the year, critic-wise and film-wise. It was one of the big hits of the year. Got snubbed because this always happens with the animated feature film category. They don't nominate like stuff like that. They don't want to nominate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or the Simpsons movie when that came out, or Bob's Burgers movie last year, or a bunch of other, like, most TV adaptations do not get the Oscar treatment. Like, Spider-Man is one of those few exceptions where it is a franchise film, but it's just too good that it would be crazy not to nominate. I think they learned from the lessons of the Lego movie by not nominating that for Best Animated Feature Film. I think they learned their lesson there, and with Spider-Man, it's just like, we have to do this. Like, we have to give this at least a nomination. And I hope it gets, and I'm pretty sure it's going to win. Like, I do not see any of these other movies possibly coming in and really taking away what Spider-Man truly deserves. Maybe Nimona. Maybe, like I said, it's my second favorite movie of the year, but yeah, that's one where it's just like, it's pretty much locked in for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And again, I wish it would have won a Best Picture nomination. I mean, even if it didn't win Best Picture, at least acknowledge that you accept that animation is also art too. Like, instead of just something that you put on for your kids, even though you tried to pull that shit a couple years ago with Amy Schumer saying that during the Oscars. But yeah, those are the big 7 categories I wanted to cover here. So let me go ahead and take a look at some of these other nominations and talk about some real surprises from this list. In terms of documentary feature film, I think the biggest shocker here was that the Michael J. Fox documentary was not listed on here, which is really surprising and unfortunate because I've only seen little bits and pieces of it, but I really want to see this whole thing. It looks like a really well-made documentary, and probably one that should have been part of this list. But then again, the documentary branch of the Academy really has their heads so far up their asses. I mean, do I even need to say Hoop Dreams? And, like, you think they would learn by that, but apparently not. But Asteroid City didn't get any specific nominations, but Wes Anderson did get a nomination for his live-action short, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, which I don't know too much about that one. I don't think Wes Anderson has ever won an Oscar, if I'm mistaken. Let me double check here just to make sure. I could have sworn he didn't get one. Let me see. No, he didn't. Like he has not gotten he's never gotten an Oscar. So maybe this is his year to get it, Mike. But I don't think Asteroid City would have been nominated for like the big awards. But I feel like it should have gotten something in return. But let's see. Any other ones here that really surprised me? Probably Barbie not getting the cinematography. I thought the cinematography in Barbie was really good. And even something like The Color Purple, too, I thought should have gotten at least a consideration for cinematography. I'm surprised Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny got nominated for original score, which, you know, I'm one of the few people that did like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but I was surprised that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse didn't get nominated there. I felt like that was going to be one that should have been considered in the final 5 movies here, and it really wasn't. That really surprised me that it wasn't in there. And then the last big surprise I saw from here was that Godzilla Minus One got a nomination. Not because it got a nomination, but it's the first time any Godzilla movie has been nominated for an Oscar, which is really shocking to believe that. Like, you would have thought it would have gotten something for like visuals or something like that, but nope. Godzilla Minus One is the first one to get a nomination for visual effects, and quite honestly, I wouldn't mind it if it won. I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to be a two-horse race between that and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I feel like, which definitely was the bright spot for Disney that year. And I thought the visuals in that movie were really good, too. So I think it's going to be a two-horse race between those two movies. I feel like that should be a really good race between those two movies. It's going to be between Guardians and Godzilla. I don't know why Napoleon got so many nominations. Like, visual effects and Napoleon. Like, Napoleon got 3 nominations, and I saw that movie just recently. Ridley Scott, look, I love Ridley Scott as much as anybody else, but I'm sorry, that movie is garbage. Like, that movie just has no idea what kind of a tone it wants to set, and the fact that it got 3 nominations, technical nominations, but still, there were so many other movies that probably could have been in the visual effects category. You could have put Barbie in there too. You could have put Barbie in there. You could have put Oppenheimer in there. Like, Oppenheimer, I'm shocked wasn't in there. That's something that's really just like, wow, that's not in there. But yeah, that's the 2024 Academy Award nominations. My big surprises from there, the big snubs. The list is here, and gotta say, man, I've got my concerns, but I'm cautiously optimistic to how this will turn out. I mean, last year's Oscars were one of the big surprises. It really won me back over with the selections they made, the movies they nominated, and the movies that won. Everything Everywhere All at Once sweeping, which it rightfully deserved because it was one of the best movies of last year, of 2022. But yeah. So, what about the Reviewing Network Awards? What about my thing that I do right before the Oscars, where I present my nominations, my awards to the movies that I think should deserve some attention? That is going to happen again. It's going to be I'm going to film it within the next month, and I'll have the nominations out I'm going to have them out for Super Bowl weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. So I got to work on that. But the awards themselves will be the Saturday before the Oscars on Saturday, March 9th, because I forgot we're in a leap year. Saturday, March 9th. So more details on that will come out in the next couple of weeks, so stick around for that. But in terms of the Oscars themselves, I'm planning on doing a live watch during the Reviewing Network Live. Now, I'm going to have to be careful with how I do this because I can't have the TV blasting in the background because, copyright issues and all that type of stuff. So I'll try my best to figure out a way to do that. The Super Bowl is going to be the real test of this first, because I'm going to do a live watch of the Super Bowl as well. I'm going to see how that pans out and see maybe if I can bring that over to the Oscars. But that's going to be coming up too. So that's going to be a busy weekend for me, and that particular weekend. But with that said, thank you so much for watching this special, kind of late edition of Talking About the Movies, because I really wasn't planning on doing this. I really was going to wait until Sunday for the Reviewing Network Live to do this. But I felt like I should do it anyway because it's just so fresh for everybody. And there's still going to be another Talking About the Movies review coming up on Saturday. Or Sunday, I should say. Because the new movie, The Underdogs, comes out this week. So I'll have a review for that. There will be another episode there. So with that said, let me know your thoughts down below on the Oscar nominations. What's your biggest surprise? What's your biggest snub? What's your biggest... what movie do you think should have gotten nominated? What movie do you think should have been in there? I really would like to know your thoughts down below. If you like this video, check out some of the other videos I've done on talking about the movies. So with that said, I will see you guys next time. So thank you for watching, and it's that time. It's Oscar season. Let's go.